Hello and welcome back, my Royal Rogues. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the Royal Rogue, and tonight we kick off with an absolutely generic picture of Prince William. And it's not even recent. It so happens that today I was just sitting down to make this video, and when I open X, formerly Twitter, what do I find? Well, two things happen. The first one is that the press is still camping outside the hospital where Catherine is, waiting to get a picture, any picture from the royal family. And yes, I use the same picture that Harry and Meghan used for their dog documentary trailer because I'm not even going to show the actual vultures of the press waiting there. So, going back to our quite generic picture of Prince William, the fact is that there were pictures of Prince William driving in or out of the hospital today. And you can imagine how stressed he can be with Catherine recovering and he making sure their children are okay. Now, what happened with a ton of royalists and fans of William and Catherine today? Well, they began to criticize the press, saying that they are not giving William and Catherine privacy, that nobody needs those pictures, and proceeded to share the pictures. Yeah, I know, baffling. I thought that Meghan and Harry were hypocrites, but some royalists are trying to out hypocrite them. This is perhaps the gold standard in what I read today. I think it's ridiculous that we need pictures of Prince William entering and leaving the hospital. It is totally unnecessary to stand outside the hospital while other people are recovering. I know that there will be interest, but these are the types of journalism tactics I've never cared for. There may be a moment for some official pictures, but this seems invasive both for the whales and any other person there seeking treatment, and then proceeds to include the pictures in the tweet. I mean, what kind of dissonance is this? And others were a bit more explicit about the topic, claiming that William drove intentionally in front of the press area. Right, because pap pictures must be in Kensington Palace's priorities right now. Who needs this sausage squad when you will have these long-time royal watchers? But let's go back to our generic picture of Prince William. And let's say for a moment that they are right. After all, they have been covering the royals for far longer than yours truly, and I have to respect that. So let's say William had to drive in front of the press as part of some negotiation from Kensington Palace with the tabloids, throwing them a bone so they have at least one picture. Not gonna lie, that makes sense in a lot of ways. But that doesn't mean that William would be okay with that or comfortable with that. He will still be pissed off about the press vultures. Having said that, I need to remind you that in this space, or the domains of the Royal Rogue, King of Memes, Marquis de Troll, Baron of Midjourney, me and my rogues stand by and support the Prince and Princess of Wales. But what does it mean exactly to support someone that you don't know personally? To stand by someone who most probably will not be aware of your existence? Well, in my terms, it is my belief that William and Catherine represent principles and values that must be protected and nurtured for this and future generations. I firmly believe that they might not be perfect, but they are good people. But of what use is to uphold those principles if we don't enforce them in our own behavior? With that in mind, can we respect their privacy for just a couple of weeks? So, let's say that I concede that the picture of William outside the hospital was an arrangement between Kensington Palace and the media. Does it mean that it's the right thing to share it? And that's why I talk about those principles that for me, William and Catherine represent. Morals. Is the picture legal? Yes. William was in a public space. Is the taking of the picture reprehensible? Of course. I think no true royalist would deny that. But here's the thing. If you're a fan of William and Catherine, just ask yourself this question. What would they do? Would they reshare a picture of someone who wants and deserves privacy? That's the hard part of doing the right thing. Doing the right thing even when it's not technically illegal, but only because it's wrong. And that's something we can learn from. Now, we are humans. We are made of flesh and blood, and that separates us from machines and AIs and algorithms and Excel spreadsheets. And being humans means that we care and want to know something, anything that's going on with Catherine. I want to know. Denying that is foolish. But not for nothing, patience is one of the hardest virtues to nurture, develop, and maintain. We want news about them right now. We need pictures. We want to see them. We want to see their faces. And the tabloids have known this for decades. Maybe I'm making a fuss about nothing. Maybe I'm making a fool of myself and everyone else is in the loop. But I've told you many times, not only on the Royal Rogue, but only on the Body Language Guy as well, that you should do what feels right to you. It has a lot to do with our own values, what is important for us. And right now, besides the memes, the humor, the blind gossip, and a lot of stuff that's going on with the royal family and the non-royals as well, it's important to have a break now and then and have this kind of conversations. Before we go, I need to mention that on all the Royal Rogue social media channels, I asked you to ask me anything, and ask you did. There's a lot of great questions in there, and I will be answering them in upcoming shows. One of them was particularly urgent and had to do with this video that I promised to everyone who got any of my merch in November and December of last year. Some of you haven't received the video, so I just, in case, re-recorded a ton of them in the last 24 hours. You should have received it by now. And if you haven't, please send me an email to the address in the description of this video and I will get it sorted out. And one of the most interesting questions was from Laura F4202. Royal Rogue, if you could choose one royal and ask them one question, who would you choose and what would you ask? Laura, thank you for that. I would pick Prince William, in fact. And there is a very pressing question that I'm sure would spark an amazing conversation if I ever have the luxury of interviewing William for a podcast. I will ask him this. William, who would win in a fight between the T-1000 and Wolverine? This is something that keeps me up at night and only a true fan of action and superhero movies can answer. I want to know William's stance on this. Let's talk about the odds. My Royal Rogues, I would love to know what you think about this in the comments. And remember to download my free body language tips in the description of this video if you want to read anyone like a book. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the Royal Rogue. And remember, much love and bliss.